All right, guys. So there's rumors out there. I don't know if it's 100% official. I know MMA Fighting hasn't really released that out there. I believe ESPN MMA ended up releasing it. The UFC hasn't announced this officially. Let me double check real quick. But guys, if this is true, oh man, the UFC just announced that their ticket sales are gonna for UFC 301 is about to go on sale. Guys, I'm telling you right now. I mean, it's about UFC 301, but I don't think it's official. Yeah, even ESPN hasn't announced it, but well, all they did, but they haven't put a graphic out there. Mark Raimondi ended up confirming that Jose Aldo, yes, Jose Aldo, the King of Rio, he is fighting, all right, at UFC 301, all right, against the Dragon, Jonathan Martinez. And so some people, they don't know who Jonathan Martinez is, and that kid's a stud. And they're bringing back the King of Rio to fight at bantamweight. I mean, I'm hoping that it's not a bantamweight. I'm hoping it's going to be at a catchweight, just because it's a little bit, cutting it close, right for a camp. I mean, usually fighters want to have about 8 to 12 weeks, and we are pretty much on like 7 weeks. If so, about that. Yeah. 7, maybe 6. But yeah, King of Rio's back, guys. We haven't seen him fight since 2022, and when he fought Marab in Salt Lake City. And I know a lot of people were not crazy about that fight. I know they weren't crazy about Marab, the way that he ended up holding Jose Aldo. And Aldo, I remember it was in round 3 where he just started, being like, oh, because Marab wasn't doing much on that fight. But then you ended up having, I think it was this year or last. Yeah, it was definitely last year, where you had Jose Aldo being honored for the UFC Hall of Fame. And yeah, the Hall of Famer's back right now. Hall of Famer's back after what's it called, a year and a half layoff. I mean, he had a couple of boxing matches. I don't know who he fought, I think, in his first fight, or was his second fight. But I don't know, in one of the fights, he ended up fighting Jeremy Stephens, and he ended up winning. But I remember Jose Aldo, before he retired, he had one fight left on his deal. So maybe he is trying to fulfill that one last fight on his contract before he ventures off and maybe does better things. Or maybe this is the UFC calling Jose Aldo and saying, look, UFC 301 is really bad, and we really need you to be on this card. Here's a big pile of cash, fight this guy, because this doesn't look good, and our fans are complaining about how you have Andre Pantoja fighting Steve Erceg. And to me, that's, I love that fight. I don't know if it's a main event worthy fight. I understand that Alexandre Pantoja is, Brazilian and stuff like that, but to put it out there that it's a main event is a huge stretch, unless it's a fight night, but it's not going to be a fight night. And I can't remember the last time the UFC ended up giving out a free pay-per-view was the Glover Teixeira Jan Blachowicz fight, where Glover ends up winning the belt, and that was in Abu Dhabi. And I'm pretty sure that the people from Abu Dhabi ended up making sure that card was free so the public can see, and it was throughout the day. I don't think they're gonna do that for this one. And like I said in the previous video, this is the UFC just trying to fulfill obligations and contracts, and maybe they just paid Jose Aldo. If he gets paid around $300K and whatever, they probably gave him $600K or $650, no win and show, just a flat rate. So I'm very intrigued as for this matchup, because these Factory X kids, Chris Gutierrez, you have Jonathan Martinez, I think who else is on? There's plenty more. Anthony Smith. You have those guys notoriously good. Oh, Brandon Royval, with leg kicks and stuff like that. But then you got the king of the leg kicks in Jose Aldo. And man, I mean, Jose Aldo, I feel like he has maybe 1 or 2 good fights left in his MMA body to go with. And I'm very interested to see how he goes and fights Jonathan Martinez. I believe this is just a one-off, and this is my personal opinion. This is no inside knowledge whatsoever. Like I said, the UFC probably paid Jose Aldo to just come back for this one fight because they need help. Because the UFC really botched UFC 301. You know, this is what happens when you try to stack up 298, 299, 300. You really deplete a lot of your value. And now, you know, you have Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill, which is the main event of UFC 300. Originally, that was going to be the main event for Brazil, and which would have made very much more sense, in my opinion, because you would have had Jamal Hill going back to the scene of the crime where he ended up winning the belt against Glover Teixeira, Glover retiring, but then his pupil, Alex Pereira, comes in and fights Jamal Hill back where he won the belt, back where he ended up dominating his head coach and seeking out revenge. And I feel that could have been a whole lot better. But you're having this on UFC 300, which is no complaint to me whatsoever. But I just feel that UFC 301 is now heavily impacted. But with this card, you know, you're definitely going to have a whole bunch of people trying to buy tickets to go see Jose Aldo fight, mainly because the man is a legend. And, you know, you're going to see people interested, you know, in wanting to buy the card also because Aldo's on the card. I understand many people don't know who Steve Erceg is, and if you guys don't know, please look it up because I'm telling you right now, even though the guy is an underdog, I think he's like, last time I checked, it's a plus 210 or 220 underdog. There's a lot of value on that pick right there to have, and I feel like Erceg could beat a Pantoja, and it would help to, you know, so the Brazilian fans don't go ballistic that you have Jose Aldo on that card where, to be honest, I feel like Aldo can really beat Jonathan Martinez. I feel like Jonathan Martinez is a very good fighter. The only thing is that I feel like Martinez, he's a very good leg kicker. He knows how to strike. He knows how to, you know, win fights. But I think Aldo is just a better fighter overall and hits harder, has more weapons, and he has an incredible takedown defense. But yeah, Jose Aldo is officially coming back. Thanks to AG Fight. I think that was a Brazilian, you know, source that ended up breaking the fight, and they are, reported by Brazilian outlet AG Fight. May 4th, Jose Aldo, Jonathan Martinez. As of right now, that looks like the co-main event. I feel like the UFC is really banking on Alex Pereira to finish Jamal Hill so they can have Hill, Pereira versus Blank. In the co-main event, you have Pantoja versus Steve Erceg, and then you can have on the featured fight Aldo versus Martinez. And I feel like that would super exceed the the pay-per-view as opposed to the current seating right now. Because right now, guys, the card looks like this. Pantoja, you have Aldo versus Martinez. Michel Pieta, who just fought Saturday, is fighting Mahmoud Muradov. Paul Craig versus Kai Baralho. Joaquin Silva versus Jakar Close. And Karolina Kovacevic versus Yasmin Lucindo. So it's a pretty tough card. We had tougher cards. I really felt like the January card was just something I'm not going to look back and watching. But overall, King of Rio is back, and that's more than enough for a lot of us to be excited. But until then, guys, I am Flavio Oriana. Thank you for tuning into my MMA show, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace, guys, and have a good one. See ya.